Great. So it looks like there is no doubts as such. So I just started today's session. So before that, a quick recap of what we did in the last session. So in the last session, we tried to understand how to use social media marketing and what are the different aspects of social media marketing. So we tried to understand why social media marketing is important, what are the do's and don'ts for a social media marketing plan, or what exactly you shall be doing as a brand in your social media channels. And then we tried to understand how to put up a paid campaign in social media channels. So just to have a quick recap of that. So as soon as you visit your Facebook page, so in this case you can run paid campaigns in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all those platforms. But we just had a demo of the Facebook ad portal because this is the most robust portal that you have among all the social media channels. And also from Facebook Ad Center, you can run ads for both Facebook and Instagram. So we just had a look at how we can put up a paid campaign in Facebook. So for example, in this case, what we did was we visited our ad center from our Facebook page. We visited our ad center, and from ad center, we went to audiences. In audience, we created a demo audience that we want to target. Now in marketing or in any kind of paid campaign, you want to reach out to your target audience. You want to reach out to relevant people only, and not to any and every people out there on Facebook. So you want to target people only who are your potential buyers or who are your target audience or target customers. So in my case, what I did was in audience, I tried to segment or narrow down my targeting. So in this case, I can select the age. So age group I've selected, my target audience are millennials, 14 to 35, gender men, and then the locations that I want to target. So I want to target audience or customer prospective customers from this particular locations. And then I have the option to select their demographics, their interest, and their behaviors. So under demographics, I can select what exactly they are up. I mean, what is the profile information all about? For example, their education level, their marital status, their workplace, where they exactly work, their life events. Under interest, we can target what exactly is the industry or areas of interest they have. So someone might be interested in cycling, someone might be interested in swimming, someone might be interested in digital marketing. So based on the interest, you can target people, and also based on their behavior. So someone might be having an anniversary in the next 15 days, in the next 30 days. So if, for example, if you are a gifting if you are selling gifting products, then maybe you can target people who are having an anniversary in the next 30 days, or you can target friends of people who are having anniversary in the next 30 days or 15 days or so. So because that is the period when those people would be looking to buy gifting products. So we can target those people by their behaviors. So anniversary, consumer classification, so luxury consumers or mass products, premium products, what kind of product they purchase, engage, luxury purchase product purchasers. So those kind of targeting you can do. So whenever you're running a paid campaign or setting up a campaign on your social media channels, try to narrow down, put a lot of time and try to narrow down your audience structuring. Set the audience in the first place. So targeting the right audience is a key to have a good, effective result in your paid campaigns. So try to have a very good narrowed down audience creation. So we have discussed this particular section in detail in the last session. Please go through that particular video where we have created this particular audience set. So after you've created the audience, you can simply create the promotion. So for that, you can either go to promote, or you can again go to ad center, and from the ad center you can create an ad. So in this case, let me just create one. Again, just have a quick overview of how to create an ad. So as soon as I hit the create ad button, I'm landing up on this particular page where I have to select the objective of my ad. So for example, in this case, my objective is to get more people to my websites. So I can select this particular objective of the ad, and then I can land up on this particular page where I can add the text of my ad copy. So you can have the ad copy over here, and simultaneously you can see the preview of how this ad would look like in the social media feed of your users. Next, we try to, you can you can customize the headline, the call to action button, and also the website URL. So wherever you want to take it. So maybe in this case, the user on clicking this particular ad would be landing up on this web page. If you want a separate web page, you can simply add your landing page or web page over here. and then you can select the audience. Now you can create the audience here as well, but you are targeting that same audience again and again. So that's why we are creating a new audience. We have created the audience set before we came into this particular ad creation portal. So in here, you can see the the audience base that we have created. So in my case, at this particular scenario, I've created this particular audience base. As I select it, I can get a detailed information about whom am I targeting. So I'm targeting age group 14 to 35, gender, people with interest areas, and also having their life events as such. So I can edit the audience in this particular section as well. And then I can get into my budgeting part. So in this section, I can add my daily budget, the amount of money that I want to spend. So you can cap the total amount of money that you want to spend on ads on everyday basis. So for example, in this case, if I'm spending 70 rupees per day on this particular ad, Facebook is giving me an estimate that I can reach around 250 to 730 number of people, and I can expect around 5 to 15 number of clicks. So based on my 70 rupees spent on this ad per day. So yeah, after that you can add your payment gateway and you can run the ad. So before that, there is also one section where you can select the placements. So in this case, my ads will be shown up in Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram. If I want to uncheck, if I don't want my ads to be shown up in Instagram, I can just uncheck it. So yeah, that's pretty much a simplified process. But what exactly you need to do is you need to focus on the audience that you are creating. So try to create a very narrowed down audience, and after every ad, try to go to insights and look at how your page has been performing due to that particular ad. So try to figure out the effectiveness of that particular ad. So is everything clear so far? So from the publishing section, you can get a list of all the posts that you have made on your Facebook or Instagram platform, and then you can have a quick insight on how those posts performed. So is there any query so far from this from the last session on social media marketing? So if you have any doubt from the social media marketing section, you can put in the chat box. Now, the biggest challenge in every social media marketing activity is that you have to maintain a consistency of your brand communication through social media channels. So you keep on posting on a regular interval. So maybe you're posting 2 days a week or 3 days a week. So how do you track all the platforms in one place? So last day I couldn't show you this particular platform due to lack of time. So there are certain tools which are called social media marketing tools or social media management tools. Now this is an example of one of those tools. The name of this tool is Hootsuite. So this is one of the market leaders in social media marketing tools. So what this tools helps you is you can maintain all your social media marketing channels in one particular dashboard. So as you can see in this particular dashboard, I'm having my Facebook page, I'm having my Instagram page, I'm having my LinkedIn page, and also the Google Maps. So you can add all your social media channels in a particular dashboard, and from this particular dashboard, you can keep a track of all the pages. So you can keep a track of the activities of all these pages, and you can also post in all these pages from one particular dashboard. So you don't have to log into Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn separately from all different browsers. I mean, you don't have to log into each and every channel individually. You can maintain each and every channel from one particular dashboard. So this is a free tool. I mean, pretty much you can add up to 4 channels for free. After that, you need to go for a paid subscription. But if you're just starting out with social media marketing, then this free version would be good enough to start with. And again, you can also have a check of who all are reviewing your Google business listing. So in Google Maps, you can list your business. So who all are putting up reviews on your Google My Business listing? What are the questions that people are asking in your Google Map listing? And in Facebook, if someone is mentioning you in Facebook, you can get the list of all those mentions over here. You can get your messages over here, and you can also track down all the Twitter mentions and tweeters. And one more important feature of this particular tool is that you can track all your competitors. So what you can do, for example, if you're tracking their social media channels. So in this page, in this particular dashboard, what I've done is I'm tracking all the competing competing companies' social media pages. So Threadless, Shopify, Clean Master, UNICEF. So all these social media pages I'm able to track from one dashboard. So I'm tracking, so you can add up to 10 social media pages. So up to 10 Facebook pages you can add in one particular dashboard. So I've added 10 social media pages in this particular dashboard, and I'm tracking their activities on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you're tracking your competitors on a day-to-day basis, it will help you plan your marketing in a better way. So you can have an idea about what exactly are the users or the market is behaving like. So if they are posting something on maybe something on weather control or something like that. So how the users are reacting to those ads, and based on that, you can structure your communication accordingly. So yeah, that's how you can leverage this kind of social media marketing tools. So the link to explore this is hootsuite.com. I'll be sharing this link if you want. And there are multiple other tools as well similar to this. So buffer.com is one of the closest competitors to hootsuite.com. You can also explore buffer.com. So based on the dashboard interface, whichever you like, you can use it. Now all these tools comes with around 3 to 4 social media channels for free. They provide 3 to 4 social media channels for free, and if you want to expand it, then you have to go for the premium subscription. But as I said, if you're just starting out, then the free version will be good enough. So is there any doubt so far? Is there any kind of questions? Any questions, any doubts so far? So we tried to understand social media marketing, a quick recap of last session. Then we tried to see how we can run or set up a quick ad paid campaign in social media in our Facebook page. And then we tried to explore or have a quick preview of how a social media marketing tool looks like, or social media page management tool looks like. So this is the demo of hootsuite.com. So from this particular, if you're using this kind of social media marketing tools, you can keep a track of all your competitors in one dashboard, and you can also keep a track of all your social media channels in one dashboard. So yeah, I'll be waiting for 2-3 minutes over here. If you have any doubts, any queries, just pour in the chat box. And then we'll be moving on to today's session on visual communication design. Great. So let us start with today's session on visual communication design. And before that, let me just clarify one thing over here. So recently we started sharing the class recordings over YouTube, so that it's convenient for everyone. So if you click on this particular link, you'll end up on youtube.com, and you can watch that particular session on YouTube itself. And all these videos are easily downloadable, so you can download if you want to. For example, in my case, so you can download the videos if you are looking to. And yeah, that's how all the study materials and videos have been shared currently. And right now, let us move on to today's session on visual communication design for digital. So before even start with visual design for marketing communications or for digital, now if you look at the way digital marketing is done, so digital marketing is mostly based on communication. So 90% of digital marketing is communication. You are sending out your message, you are spreading information about your brand or products and services to your users. Now, how this information is being received by your users and how they perceive it and how they react to it is a very core KPI for any marketer to measure and track and measure. Because if you are sending out a message, so if you're saying, hey, I am selling ABC product, so how this message is been perceived and been responded by the user. You need to track that. Now, if you're tracking that, you have one key parameters over here. What is the effectiveness of my ad, or what is the effectiveness of my communication? If I'm sending out an email, how did people respond to it? How did people react to it? Now, this particular ad effectiveness measure highly depends on the way you present the information to the user. For example, in this case, this is a text this is a slide full of text. Now, if I'm presenting this particular information to you, how exactly you are understanding or interpreting this particular text? So whenever you are sending out a message, there's a lot of clutter or noise in the communication process. So there are other competing brands who are also looking to send the message or target the exact same audience. So how do audience differentiate your brand from the clutter or from the crowd of all other similar brands out there present in the market? So that's where design comes into function or comes into your rescue. So if you are having a particular design identity or particular visual identity for your brand, it gets easy for the user or your target audience to recognize you every time you send out a message to them. So a core element of your digital marketing messaging or digital marketing communication is your design, how you represent your information to the user. Now, to make it a little more clear, let us look at this particular example over here. So think of a fruit bowl. Now, in a particular bowl, you have multiple types of fruits. Now, all those multiple types of fruits can be your products. Think of it as your products. So you have multiple products, multiple services. So all those products and services are represented by a format of content. Now, this content can be an image, can be an infographics, can be a video, can be a simple text. So you're representing your products and services using a kind of content. Now, there are multiple types of products and services, but when you present to the user or your target audience, you present it as a particular as one particular brand. So if you take example of maybe SBI General Insurance. Now, under SBI General Insurance, they have motor insurance, they have health insurance, there are multiple types of insurance products. But whenever they're presenting you as one particular product under one particular brand. So how do you present to the user is a key element in ensuring that the messaging is effective and the user is getting to comprehend what you are trying to convey to them or communicate to them, and they respond to it. So here comes the concept of user interface design and user experience design. So if you are communicating, so in case of digital, whenever your users are interacting with your brand, they're interacting through your different online channels. Now, these online assets or online channels can be your website, can be your social media channels, can be your emailers, can be your WhatsApp chat. So there are multiple channels through which they communicate or interact with your brand digitally. Now, that interface through which they kind of get in touch with you and read about you is known as user interface. So user interface is more of the visual layout of your web elements. Now, how do you present yourself to the user whenever they are visiting your web page or your social media pages? So that is user interface design. And the other format of design is the user experience design. So whenever someone is on your website, how easy they are finding it to navigate through your website, to explore all the products and services that is there in your website, and also to get in touch with you or take the necessary action. So for example, if I'm visiting a website, is it easy for me to navigate through to different pages and explore the products and services that I'm looking for? So maybe I landed up on your web page and I'm looking for one particular product and I don't want to see all your website. So am I able to search and land up on the right web page for the product that I'm looking for? So that is user interaction design. How easy or how seamless is it for the user to navigate through and to interact with your digital communication or digital interface? So whenever you are looking for visual design for digital, there are two aspects that you need to look into. One is the interface design, user interface design, so UI design. So user interface design, you have to look at, is it really appealing for the users? Are they able to interpret or understand the message that I'm trying to put out? using a design element, using aesthetically pleasing elements. And the second part, is it usable? Is it having a kind of is it easy for the users to interact or consume that particular content that I'm putting out? So in digital, whenever you are designing something, you have to combine these two and create a good consumer experience. So this is sometimes in the industry known as design thinking, design prototyping, user design, or product design. Now all these are kind of subsets of consumer experience design. Consumer experience design is made by UX and UI. Now, in this particular slide, you can see how the UX and UI designs are different. So in the left side, you can see that it's a user interface design. So as a marketer, you are just designing out the layout as per the user's journey. So you're trying to convey to the technology team about the interface, how the interface would look like. And this design shall be based on the user's journey on your web page. So how appealing or where the placements of the content shall be on your web page. And the right side image is all about how the user is navigating in your website. What are the different action areas or action points, or what are the different call to action buttons where you want the user to take an action. So the right image is user interaction design. So you are trying to design the user's journey on your digital asset, on your website or on your application, and the different call to action buttons where exactly the user shall be clicking, and on click where they shall land up. And the left side image is for user interface design. So try to have a clear idea about how the user interface design and user interaction design is different, and how to club these two to create a superior consumer experience for your digital communications or digital marketing activities. So what exactly comes under user interaction design and user interface design? So let us start with user interface design first. So user interface primarily concerns about the look and feel of your digital presence. So it can be your brand creatives, how your brand is being represented. So what is the color, what is the font of your brand, and how the content on your website is being represented. So look and feel of your website, and also responsiveness and interactivity of your website. So is your design uniform across all the devices? Is your interface or the graphics that you're having, is it responsive to all the devices? Is it same across all the devices? Does it have a clear viewpoint across all the devices, or across all the languages, or across all the technology interfaces that the user is using to interact with your brand? And the user interaction part, it primarily focuses on how can I structure my content, how can I put my call to action button in the right place so that users click on it. Where shall I be putting my video content? Where shall I be putting my images or infographics in the overall web page? So based on the user's journey and the best conversion practices, you have to think about the user interaction elements. So for example, shall I be putting my marketing promo video on the top of the web page, in the first fold of the web page, or shall I be putting it somewhere after 60% of the web page has been scrolled? So this kind of decision makings are under user interaction design. So in this particular session, I'll be looking at what are the different types of user interaction parameters or user interface design parameters that you have to keep in mind while designing your web assets, that is your websites, applications, or social media sites, or your marketing collaterals, that is your advertisements or marketing releases like your brochures, pamphlets, flyers, whatever it is. So as a marketer, you should be knowing the different tools that are being used in the market currently. Now, Sketch is the most widely used tool for user interface design, and Photoshop, Figma, Adobe Experience Design, Illustrator, those are also used for different advertisement design. So there is just a quick know-how, nothing to learn about it at this moment. So at the end of the day, it's more than creating something that would look flashy and shiny and good to looks. More than that, you have to focus on the user's experience. So is it something that the user is liking? Is it something that the user is stopping by? So if the user is scrolling through their social media page, social media timeline, is your ad good enough to make them stop for a moment and have a second look at your ad? And then the usability and functionality of the particular creative or particular content. So if someone is stopping by your ad, are they able to click on that particular ad, or are they able to take the desired action? Now that desired action can be clicking on that particular content or particular image or particular graphics and visiting your web page. The desired action can be making a comment or making a like of on that particular post. So are they able to take the desired action to engage with your content? So user experience, the look and feel of the ad, so is it appealing them to stop by? And the functionality, are they able to get back to your content that you're putting out? So is it clear so far? We're just trying to understand how this is important for digital communication. So if you have any doubts at any point of time, just keep putting up your comment or doubts in the chat box. So moving on to the next slide. So ultimately, it's a quick example of how UX UI design can drastically change the user experience and the conversion. So if you're thinking about the user experience on your web assets, on your digital presence, then the chances of getting conversion or chances of getting engagement from your users highly increases, because the users are finding you easy and interactive to engage with. So just a quick example over here, just the left side image illustrates how a blog post is being put. So in this case, if you look at the kind of text that is used, so here is why you should always design with then the content starts. And the same content is been structured in two parts. So you can have a quick title over here, and here you can have the quick trigger, how it was designed, and then your content can flow. So if you're structuring your content presentation in such a way that it is readable and it is easily consumable by the user, then it's a higher chance that the user will be clicking on this particular link and read through this particular content. So we'll go through in detail about this particular scenario over here. This is just an example. Next, in the right side image, if you see, for products like Netflix, YouTube, you will find only two buttons to engage with or to show your reaction on that. So it's either a like button or a dislike button. So this is a pure user interaction design thought. If the content is quite straightforward, it's like either it's a good one or it's a bad one, then in those cases you use a binary decision making feedback design. So in this case, it's either a like or a dislike. Now look at the second option. It's a 5-star rating or 6-star 5-star rating option. So whenever the decision is very complex, so if you're purchasing a product from Amazon or Flipkart, then the product cannot be either very good or either very bad. It can have some pros and some cons. So based on that, you might be having a differential feedback on that particular product. So for products or services which are very complex to rate on, or which are very complex to evaluate and give a feedback, for those cases designers are using a 5-star rating. So these are the different usage of user interaction design. So let us see the details of how we can get into. So at the end of this session, I'll be providing a checklist of what are the different parameters on which you shall be judging your creatives or judging your digital communication content. So first of all, we'll start with the design fundamentals. We'll try to understand the different design concepts, and then we'll move on to the practical part of the session. So whenever you're designing a brand, so visual communication design helps you create an identity for your brand. So whenever I talk about the identity for your brand, think about any of your favorite brands, and you'll be able to recall their font, their colors, and obviously their mascot if they have any. So if you think of Air India, you can think of that Maharaja mascot that they have. If you think of Coca-Cola, you might be able to recall the font, the italic font that they use, and the red color that they use. So whenever you're doing branding, the two key elements that comes into people's mind when they recall a particular brand is the way the brand looks. So fonts and colors are two primary deciding factors or deciding parameters behind the brand identity that the users perceive and get a memory-based recall. So first of all, we'll start with how to select the right font for our brand, and then the right color combination for our brand. And then we'll narrow down it to how to select the right colors for our digital assets, for our website and for our social media ads. What would be the right color? And then how to write a perfect conversion friendly, user interaction friendly text or content, and what are the different digital design norms. So if you're putting up a post on Facebook, and if you're putting up a post on Instagram, then the size of the ads, the color combination of the ads, also the text available, possible text for that ad also differs as per the channel. So what are the different design norms as per the channel that you're using? So let us get started with this. So the first point of consideration is selecting the right font for your brand. So for that, you can straight away get into this particular web page, fonts.google.com. Now this is the official fonts website from Google. So all these fonts are web fonts, which means all these fonts are compatible for digital reading and digital publishing. So if you're using this particular font in your website, it would load on your web page with a low loading time, and also it's friendly with users eye to read through. So how you can select the right font for your brand? So first of all, you can get into your font properties and also the language that you are in. So if you're into some regional language, you can get into that vernacular language. You can select that particular language and you can get all the font particular to that language. So in this case, if I'm selecting Arabic, I'll be getting all the Arabic fonts that are supported by different websites. So all these fonts are friendly for web publishing or or you can use this, or in other words, you can use this particular font for your website and social media sites. Next, try to select the font based on your brand's personality. So if you're using a very serious if your brand is having a serious kind of personality, you can stick to this three options: serif, sans serif, and monospace. Now if you look at the way these fonts look, now all these fonts are having a particular dimension by length and breadth. So whenever a particular font is in perfect aspect ratio, in a multiple aspect ratio, so either it's 4:3 or either it's 2:2, the aspect ratio, by aspect ratio I mean the length and breadth of a particular character. So here M, so it's either 2:2 or 2:1.5, so it can have multiple, every font has its own aspect ratio. So based on the aspect ratio, the user gets it inflicts a kind of emotion in the reader. So every font has its own emotion, has its own personality. So based on the brand personality, you have to select the right font from this particular web page. Now, why this particular web page? There are multiple web pages from where you can collect or select the right font for your brand, but you have to ensure that that particular font is web publishing compatible. So that means this particular web font is supported by different browsers for publication, for different websites, for different website viewability. So from here you can select the type of font. You can filter out the type of font that you want. So in this case, maybe I want to check some display fonts. So these display fonts are primarily used for headlines and large text for web. And from here you can also select shortlist the font based on the thickness, the slant, or the width that you want. And once you have selected one particular font, you can simply download it for your usage. Now why you want to download it? This particular font, if you're downloading and installing in your system, then it will be active throughout all your softwares that you're using. It will be active in your Photoshop, it will be active in your Word, so it will be active in your PowerPoint. So across all your tools that you're using on your system, this font will be active. So you can use this standardized font across all your marketing collateral or marketing communication that you're creating on your system. So how to download it? You can select the plus button and you'll find that you're able to download the font. Now, in case you are sharing this font with, you want to share this font with your web designer or your social media marketing designer, then you can simply share this particular font from here. So you can share the font with your designer or with your web developer so they can use it in their design. Next, once you have selected that particular font, you have to select a combination font. Always you need to keep two different fonts for your brand. So you can go with one font, but it's always better to have two different fonts so that you can leverage the flexibility to use one for headings and one for the normal paragraph content. So you can visit this particular page, canva.com/font combinations. So from here you can select a font that goes well with your primary font. So in this case, maybe I have selected one particular font, Abril Display. So as soon as I search for my desired font, so in this case I'm selecting this particular font as my primary font. So this web page will give me the combination of all possible fonts that I can use with my selection, that is Adobe Castellan Pro. So along with this particular font, I can use either this particular font, or I can check the multiple combinations over here. So I can get a preview of multiple combinations, and based on that I can select the right font for my brand. So I can see that this is a combination of Adobe and Brandon. This is a combination of Adobe and Ifra. This is a combination of Adobe and Museo Sans. So I can select whichever fits right with my branding. So after you have selected these two fonts, try to share it with your web developer or download it on your system and install it so that it gets automatically reflecting across all your tools, be it Word, be it PowerPoint, be it Photoshop. So is it clear so far? Is there any kind of doubt? So I'll simply close these two tabs. These are no more required. So moving on to the next part, color standardization. So right now we have selected our particular font. We have selected the font that we want to use for our particular brand. And the next step would be to select the color for our brand. So how do we select the right color for our brand? Now each and every color has a particular significance. Each and every color has their own personality type. So just give me a moment over here. I'm pausing the screen share for a moment. So each and every color has its own personality, and based on that you have to select that particular color. So I'll be sharing this particular link. So the concept of color wheel is that color wheel contains all the possible colors in a particular circular circumference, and all the colors are set up in a particular contrast level. So all the colors, the wavelength of the colors keep on increasing as you move from white to red. So if you look at this particular color wheel over here, so red has the largest wavelength. That means red is the only color that will be visible from the farthest point of view, and the color exactly opposite to red is the sky or the lightest possible shade of white. So that is the color which will be least visible from the faraway distance. Now based on where exactly you want to use your color, you have to select the color combination. So if you are using it for digital designs, for web publication, or for different social media posts, then you have to select colors that are easily visible at a shorter distance. So if you look at the color red, now from a very close snap, the color red would actually make a pain in your eyeballs. So just try to have a play around with this particular web page. You can find you'll find that if you're selecting extreme red from this color wheel, this color red would be very difficult for your eyes to interpret. And as you move away from the extreme circumference of the color wheel, you will find that the soberness of the color or the wavelength of the color decreases, and it gets easier for your eyes to read or to view at that particular color. So based on the color's wavelength or the color's warmth and saturation, you have to select the right color combination. Now, whenever we are using colors in various digital platforms like website or on design, on Photoshop design or any other software for design, we know colors by their hex code. We do not know colors by their color red, because in this case, if you look at this particular color red, it has a range of shades. So one cannot distinguish between this particular red and this particular red. So red color has a shade, multiple shades. So you have to select the right shade for your brand. So how do you do that? Using hex code. Each and every shade has its own particular unique hex code. Now you have to copy this particular hex code and share it with your designer. So this page would be very helpful for you. From here, you can use the color wheel to decide which color you want for your brand. And based on that, try to select the hex code from here. So pick the color. So this is a hex code that you need to copy and save it for your brand. So you can copy this code and keep it in a Word doc, just so that you can communicate and reuse the same color again and again. Now coming to the second concept of selecting the right color. So once you've selected the right color, so there are two ways ways to sort the color from this color wheel. One is the color wavelength strength. So as soon as you move from the circumference of this color wheel towards the center, you are decreasing the wavelength. So the strength of the color is decreasing. And as you move across the circumference in a circular manner, you're just changing the color. So try to select the colors like that. Copy the hex code of the color that you have chosen, and then try to go for different combinations of this particular color. So for example, in this case, violet is the color that I've chosen. The hex code is this. Now violet is the color that I'm representing it. I'm saying violet is a color, but when you get into design, then you have to represent this color by hex code. So we'll get into that in a moment. The next step would be to select the color combination for your violet. So this is a violet that I've selected right now. So what would be the best color combinations for my color? So one is, so from here you can choose the complementary or the monochromatic. What are the different types of color shades that you can use with this particular color that you've chosen? So in this case, I've chosen violet as a color. So I can select the different types of color combinations and see what are the different other colors that I can use with this particular violet. So if I get into analogous colors, color combination, I can see the three different other colors that I can use with this particular violet. If I'm selecting triadic, I can see what are the different other contrasting colors that I can use with my violet. If I'm getting into maybe monochromatic, I can see what is the nearest shade of violet that I can use. So here it shows two colors of the same palette, or of the same color palette. And then I have the colors. Based on this, I can select all the color hex codes, and then I can move on to my design part. So getting into the next page over here, in this particular page, you can select the combination of different colors. So in my case, this is the color that I've selected. So I can put in the color hex code, or I can put in the color name, and then I can explore the different shades or different combinations of that particular color. So for example, in this case, suppose I want to select soft focus forest as the color theme. So if I select on this particular color palette, I'll get a detailed information about all the different types of combinations of this particular color that I can use in my website. So it's just a recommendation of different types of colors that I can use. So for the particular blue, I can use different other color shades, like this four are the closest color shades that I can use. And you also get some recommendations on the related combinations. So yeah, that's how you select the right color. So is it clear so far? We tried to understand how you can select the right font and the right color for our brand. So is there any doubt so far? We are trying to understand how we can select the right font and right colors for our brand. So once we've selected the color, one particular color, we can also check around the different combinations of color. What are the different other colors that you can use with this particular color? And then you can copy all these color codes. So if you just select copy, the hex code is getting copied, or you can also copy it manually by selecting this particular area. So just copy and keep every color hex code saved so that you can use it repeatedly whenever you are designing something. So let us move ahead with the different digital color selection parameters. So whenever we are designing something for digital, we have to keep few parameters in mind. So one of the properties of color is the contrast. So contrast is primarily the luminosity of the color. So how bright that color is from one another. So what is the difference between the amount of light or amount of radiation that a color reflects? So the difference is the contrast. So whenever you are choosing the colors for your brand, try to select the color combination that is not high in contrast. So in this particular example, you can see that this particular message box, the form field, your email address field is red in color or pinkish in color, and the background is dark pink. So if you look at these two colors, they are so contrasting that one of the boxes is getting out of focus. So you are unable to figure out where shall I be clicking? Shall I be clicking on this particular red color or the background red color? So color contrast makes it difficult for the user to understand the right area to click or the right area to type in or the right area to focus on. So color contrast is the first thing that you shall be focusing on while selecting your colors. The next parameter, the white space. So if you look at the amount of space between the text and the box in this particular form, so your email address and there is no space here. So whenever there is no space, the users tend to lose out the text. So if there is a space in before the text, if there is a spacing, it is called padding in technical terms. So if you have a particular space between the text and the box or the border, you have a fair chance that the user will be recognizing that particular space and start reading from YOU or your email address. So this is called white space. Now white space is very important to make the user focus on your text and segregate your text from the background. And there is one more error in this particular image, so that is of the symmetry. So if you look at the way this text is designed, so the human eye is by nature trained to read from left to right, and whenever it's in symmetry, it's a better comprehension. So if you look at the way this text is been designed, so this particular text and this particular text are coming from the same vertical alignment, but this particular button is out of alignment. So alignment and consistency in the design layout is an important part in your design. Next, the visual hierarchy of your design. So if you look at the way the font size has been utilized over here, so the vertical alignment is correct over here, but the text sizes are different. So if you look at this particular, look at all the lines written over here, enter to win today. This is the largest font. This is a slightly smaller font. Your email address is a more smaller font, and you have a very tiny font over here by submitting you agree to our terms and conditions, and then you have a larger font over here and today. So whenever we are using different sizes of font, by nature human beings would be reading the larger font first, and then they would come to the second font, which is having the second largest font. So if you want to highlight something, if you want your users to read a particular sentence or a particular punchline the first time they see it, make it the boldest and the largest font in the whole design layout. So in this case, if you're trying to focus on this particular image, the first thing that will come to your mind would be enter to win today. This is a text that your eyeballs would catch in the first glimpse. The next parameter is look for simplicity. Don't get into too much of design layout. So in this case, all the buttons or all the form fields are having a background shadow. So if you're getting into too much of design layout, sometimes it gets out of aesthetics. So it might not be very pleasing for the user to get engaged with this particular content. So look for simple design and not too much of design elements that would make it a cluttered and crowded kind of content piece. Next, try to maintain the consistency of your information. So if you look at this particular image, you'll find that there are multiple types of font that are used. So enter to win today, this is one particular font. The second line, go on a trip of a lifetime with your family, this is one more font. And then you'll find that your email address is one more font, and enter today is one more font. So if you're using multiple fonts, it will definitely look cluttered because all the fonts has their own emotions, all the fonts has their own visual appeal, and when there's multiple fonts, it's kind of a chaos in the communication. The way users are perceiving your content or the text gets hazy because each and every font is sending out different types of emotions in the user's mind. So always maintain a consistency in your color and font that you're using. This is the reason the initial part of this session, I tried to suggest two fonts. Select any particular two fonts for your brand and stay consistent. Stick to those particular two fonts throughout all your website and social media content. So fonts and colors become a visual identity for your brand. So whenever you are starting off with your design, fixate the font and the color that you'll be using. Now that same color and font shall be used across all the design elements that goes into print, that goes into digital, that goes into your website, that goes into your social media content, or that goes into your emails. So try to stick to a particular font and color for your brand, because that is how your users would be remembering you. Next, let us try to quickly see some UX UI design examples. So these examples are important because if you're having a sample examples in mind, you'll be able to distinguish between a good design and a bad design. And designs are an important part of your conversion optimization. So if you're creating a seamless, visually appealing and pleasing experience through your design, it's highly likely that your users would be engaging with your content. Now look at this particular example over here. There are two examples. So one is having a red cross and one is having a right tick, green tick. So if you try to notice the difference between these two images here, you can find that the left image is focusing too much on the dividers of the text. So there is a bold divider, and the primary message of this particular content, that is friends, is getting lost because the text size is smaller than the subcategory size. So in this case, Bumblebee is the sub font that you're using, and Friends is the core primary font that you're using. So ideally, you want your users to read Friends first and then move on to reading the other names of all the friends. So if you look at the way it is represented in the right side of the right side image, you'll find that the first text that I want my users to read is friends. So that's why friends is having the largest font. And then I also want them to focus on the name of all the friends. So all the names are in a different color format and in a bold font. So my focus, whatever content I want my users to focus on, that content shall be highlighted either using colors or using font size or font weight, that is the boldness of the font. Next example. So you can clutter the image using too many buttons. So sometimes it's wiser to use one button and have a link for the other button, which is not very important. So in this case, I want my users to be more likely to click on the buy button and not on the no thanks button. So I can simply remove the button background color and make the button a simple text. No thanks is a simple linked text over here, and buy button is what shall be standing out in this particular design. So based on the marketeers need, they just to improve the conversion of this particular ad or particular creative or particular communication, we are just trying to highlight the buy button and just remove the background for no text button. Next, so if you look at the right side image and the left side image, so the right side image is trying to make the space look more clean and improve and take the focus of the user. The focal point of the user shall be going to the text and not the icon, because the icon can be perceived by different users at a different level. But when you're writing search, all the users will be getting the same understanding whenever they see this particular content. So search and the icon is not mattering much over here. The icon is not a big factor in this particular activity to make the user search for a particular content in this form field. So the icon of the search can be dimmed out. Next, if you look at the left side image, it's giving the user a single message that save money and this is the amount that at which you can grab your copy. And in the right side image, the user is getting a messaging which is pointing out their pain point. So stop losing money and try to grab your copy, which will help you in saving your money. So along with the price point, they're also trying to put up they're trying to figure out the pain point of the user, because of which they shall be grabbing this particular copy, and also putting up some scarcity pointers like ends in 2 hours, before it's too late, or something like that. So trying to encourage the user to take the action at this particular moment and not just lose out on this deal. So this is a classic example of how you can use ad copies or your messaging to improve the conversion of your web pages or your ads. Next, try to look at these 3 images over here. So if you look at the extreme left image with a red cross, so this image is having the description of the particular place. So this is from booking.com. So if you look at the extreme left image, so it's just showing the location and the rating and then an option and then just the price. They're declaring the price, but the user at this point is not triggered to take the action at this right moment. The user is just given the information. A good advertising design is when, or a good digital publication design is when you are putting up a content that covers the whole journey of the user. So that particular content shall be informing the user, shall be making the user think about this particular product and consider this product in their purchase decision making bucket, and also give the user a reason to finally make the decision and make a purchase. So if you look at the second image over here, this second image is giving the user a lot more content to make the decision. So here the user is getting to know about the particular location or particular place to book, their ratings, and also they're getting a quick scarcity marketing marketing copy that 3 tickets left on this particular product or particular place, and then the pricing comes into picture. So this is how you kind of streamline your communication through design. Now for the next, for the third image, so the third image incorporates the similar kind of content. So all this content plus there's a register button at the bottom so that the users are in a place where they are able to take an action. So in the second image, if you look at this particular copy, so the user is getting everything. The user is looking to know about this particular product, they're getting to know it. The user wants to select this particular product in their consideration bucket, they're able to select it based on the reviews or based on the pricing or based on the different other call to action triggers, like 5 more people are watching or 3 tickets left. So this will make the user start considering this particular option. And then there is a final brand reinforcement ad copy which says that you can cancel later and you can lock the price for today. And then you get the register option with another with the register option, which will allow the user to take the action instantly. So that's how you improve your lead conversion. So the next example, so in this example, the focus is more on the image. So the image is covering almost half of the screen. So the left side image, the image is covering half of the screen. And if you look at the ad copy, the user won't be enticed or triggered to click on this download guide button by watching this particular image. This image is nowhere going to encourage the purchase or download decision of the user. So the image is not very important. So the learning that you can take from this particular slide is try to keep the image out of focus if it's not going to encourage the decision making. Had it been a product, for example, it in this case, if they were selling a particular product, so maybe it's a mobile phone, or maybe it's a particular running shoe, then in that case they could have put the image in focus, because the user would be clicking that particular call to action button based on the image of the product that they see. But in this case, download Excel guide is nowhere related to the image that is there. So whenever the image is not required, trim it down to almost 1/3 or 20% of the screen size, because that's not going to matter the user journey. Next, try to add content in your ad copy, so that it tries to figure out or tries to point out each and every pain point that the user is having. So look at the way this content has been written. So first of all, they try to make the user aware that you cannot figure out Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is something that you don't know and you're looking to learn. So they're trying to point out the user's pain point at this moment, and then they are trying to support it with a further fact, saying that don't let your boss bring you down, and then grab your copy and download guide. So in this process, the communication flow is in such a way that each and every aspect of a user's decision making is been addressed. So it's a higher chance that the user would be willing to click the download guide, and the conversion will be higher in the right side image. So that's how design can be of great impact to your digital communication. So in this particular image, you can see that just look at the way the design or the colors has been used, and also look at the way the text or the ad copy is been used. Now all these texts are also known as ad copies. So look at the way these ad copies are been written. So in the first place, it's a straightaway linear communication. Select one of the plans that you want. And in the second design, it's more of brain or supporting their price with how millions of customers are happy with their product. So you are supporting your pricing with a particular testimonial, a social proof, how millions of customers are happy with your product, and then you are trying to uh, highlight what is the most popular plan that you're having. So in this case, you're helping the user get a trust on your brand and also make the decision. So you are kind of communicating as a consultation that, hey, we have blue, green, and orange, three kinds of plan, but green is the most popular plan, which is used most popular plan, and our brand is used by millions of customers who are happy. So moving on to the next slide. So this is one more typical example of how you design the layout of your web page. So if you look at this particular web page, the colors that they've used and the font that they've used. Now this is from functionpoint.com, a CRM product or a project management tool software website. So look at the way they have used it. So menu is the place where users would be getting back again and again in the website. So whenever you are in a particular web page, you get back to the navigation menu more than once, more than twice. Whenever you want to get into some other page, you get back to this navigation menu. So this navigation menu is highlighted so that if some user is landing on the web page, scrolling down, and at a certain point the user is looking to get into some other product, they can easily find that. So let me just open this particular web page so that I can explain it further. Action point. So the header is the place, or the menu is the place where people would be visiting again and again to navigate through all the products or whatever the product or service information that the user is looking for. So the navigation button is fixed at the top, and then look at the way this text or the color is being used. This particular text and the same text is used everywhere in the web page. So the same font is used everywhere in the web page. Now there is an interesting way to check the font that they're using. So in case you are visiting your computer's web page and you want to know what font that what is the font or color that they're using, so you can know that by using a Chrome extension known as what font. So in this case, I'll just use this what font, and as I hover over this particular font, I can get to know the color that they're using, or the font that they're using. So in this case, they're using branding bold, that is a font, and the weight, that is a boldness of the font that they're using, is 400 units, and the size of the font is 42 pixels, and the color of the font is #333. It's a shade of gray. And if I want to check the color, this particular gray color that they're using or this particular red color that they're using, I can simply click on this and I can get to know the color that they're using. So if you look at the way the design elements of the user interface has been designed for this particular product, so in simple format, the logo, the menu, and its sticky menu, so that users, whenever the users are navigating, they can easily fall back to this particular menu. They have the core call to action button that this particular website wants the user to take is been sticky on the top. So book a demo is what this particular web page wants its users to take. So book a demo is the fixed call to action button over here. And if you look at the placement of all the call to action buttons, this book a demo is their primary call to action button. Whoever is visiting their web page, they want the user to take a demo. So they're having this particular button across all the call to action placement possible in this particular web page. So let us see how. So in the top sticky navigation, there is a book a demo button. Next, your core messaging. Whenever someone is landing up on your page, within the first 1 to 2 seconds, the user shall be very clear about what exactly your product is all about. So unite your teams and see results with an agency management solution. So the user is very clear that it's an agency management solution built for creative teams. Then the call to action button, book a demo, and if you're not yet very sure if it's for you, watch our video. So this video details this particular product, and then and then you have a call to action button. If you scroll down, there is a social proof kind of segment where you have the testimonials and also the logo of the different brands or different companies which use their service. And if you scroll down, you have a demonstration of the various features of this particular product. And again, you have get started. Now this get started is again taking you to the book a demo option. If you scroll down, you have further brand reinforcement using different achievements or testimonials or brand information that you have. And then you have one more call to action button where they're trying to convert you into a lead. So you're already in the end of the web page. You are about to leave this web page, but they're trying to capture your information. How? By providing you certain kind of value. So in this case, if I hit download, I'll be prompted to a form where I have to put in my email address and phone number or whatever the information they're seeking, and then I can download this particular product. So if someone is downloading this particular ebook, from my information, from my phone number, from my name and company and business email, they can easily get to know that I, as a user, is interested in this particular product, the reason I downloaded their copy, and they can follow up with me to convert into a sale. So yeah, that's how the overall conversion or the overall design has been made. So once again, repeating it, user interface and user interaction design. So as a designer or as a marketer, your core objective is not to focus on how to do a Photoshop design or how to do a design on Illustrator. Your core focus is how to leverage the different possibilities of design to create a brand, to increase the conversion of my website, to increase the effectiveness of my ads. So if you're putting up an ad, is my design up to the mark to convey the message clearly to my users and make my users react or act to that particular ad? are my users taking the action to my ad? How effective is my ad depends on how many users are reacting or just responding to your ad and taking the desired action. And in case of website, how many you have to leverage the design layout or the user interface and user interaction design layout to your advantage, so that you can convert each and every user that is landing on your web page. So in this case, as I have discussed, the way these call to action buttons are placed, it's a marketer's job and not a web developer's job. The marketer decides where to put the call to action button. So in this case, download, get started, book a demo. So all these are call to action buttons. So you as a marketer has to do a lot of heat map study, or you have to study the users behavior on your web page, and based on that you have to make the changes to come up to a certain design layout where it's optimum for conversions. So let us see the example of one more web page over here. So again, similar kind of story. Very clearly, this web page is trying to convey the message what they do what exactly this product is all about. So in the very first 1 or 2 seconds, the core message that you get is, just a moment over here. So in the very first 1 or 2 seconds after landing on this web page, the message that you get is what is Webinar Jam, what this particular product is all about. So nothing about the various features or the details of different details of the company or something like that. Very clearly, in just quick 50 characters, they're kind of conveying what exactly this product is all about. So again, skimmable content. So skimmable content means you don't have to read the whole text. There will be some users who just want to skim through the content, so they can, so their first point of focus would be going to webinar for everyone, and then the second point of focus would be going to this is your new jam. So this line would describe what exactly the brand is all about, and this particular line would describe would make them curious to come back and read this particular text. So again, we went through this particular example, the hierarchy of design. So the visual hierarchy of design, the same principle has been used in this particular example. The boldest font, the boldest and the largest font goes to the text which you want your users to read for the first time, and then you get into your core messaging. If you scroll down, you'll find that start with a click, sign up. This is their core call to action buttons. If you scroll down, you'll again find this particular call to action button somewhere or the other. So they have a quick demonstration of their product, and then start with a click. Again, the same call to action button came into picture. If you scroll down, you'll find again some demonstration of their product, and you'll find the call to action button somewhere or the other in this web page. Start with a click. So this call to action button came for the 4th time in this particular web page. And you can find start with a click. So this is a 5th call to action button, 6th call to action button, and you can find some other call to action button as well. So I think, so yes, 7th call to action button, and again you have 8th call to action button. So this whole web page is having the call to action button placed at 8 different places. Now, if you as a marketer, you have to visit all your competitors' pages, you have to analyze your particular web page content, and you have to decide the locations or the placement of these call to action buttons. This is where UX UI design comes into picture. Where shall I put my particular call to action button so that it gets maximum number of click? So after each and every section, they haven't put the call to action button. The call to action button is placed only at places where the messaging says that here is your chance, take the action right now. So based on that communication, you have to decide where to put the call to action button. Now coming back to our slide. So yeah, this is how you shall be planning your UX UI design for your web pages. Now, whenever you are designing a web page, there are certain principles that you need to keep in mind. For example, whenever you are landing on a particular web page, you are not here to read a textbook. You're not going to read the text line by line. You're not going to read each and every content that is there on this particular website. Usually users spend on an average 3 to 4 seconds on a web page, on a particular web page. So most of your users, more than 50% of your users are going to spend around 3 to 4 seconds on your web page. They'll just scroll through and then they'll move on to some other page, or they'll leave your web page. So this is the ideal scenario which you can get to know from your web analytics dashboard. So whenever someone is on your web page, you have to ensure that you're providing the content, you're providing your communication, you're communicating your core brand message within that 3 seconds of time span. So within the first 3 seconds, whenever I'm scrolling through your web page, I shall be able to know what exactly this function point is all about, what exactly this particular brand is all about, and is it worthy enough to spend more time and try to discover what this product is all about. Is if this particular 3-second communication appeals to the user, they'll click on certain call to action buttons and get into your sales funnel for further engagement with your brand. So the first 3-second communication is very important. Now, how do you communicate in the first 3 seconds? You communicate in the first 3 seconds of their land up on your web page using visual hierarchy, using UX text elements, user interface based text elements. That means you are trying to play with the text, you are trying to play with the color and font, so to communicate your core message within the 3 seconds. So whenever an user is landing up on your page, you need to have enough text in a format that it is easily capturable and comprehensible by the user. For example, if you scroll down in this particular web page, you can get a clear view of what exactly they are trying to inform you or get you to know. So if you look at this particular web page, all the bold text is something that will entice the user to take an action, transact every time, the final countdown, enter the flow. So each and every headline is getting the user a certain bit of information, present like a pro. So try to ensure that your web page design is in such a way that it is skimmable. If someone is just looking for headlines, provide them the headlines. If someone is looking to get into details, also provide the details so that they have the option to get into details. So at the very onset, the users would be just scrolling through your web page, get the core messaging, and then if it looks helpful for them, they would get into the details of your web page. So whenever someone is visiting on your web page or visiting on your social media pages or any other email channels or any other digital publication, they are at the very onset trying to skim through your content. Whenever they skim through or scroll through your content, there's a mental mapping or mental framework that is created in their subconscious brain. So whenever a human being reads a particular content or scrolls through a particular web page, they start forming a preconceived notion about that particular messaging or particular information that they're consuming. So try to create content based on those mental frameworks. So let us discuss those mental frameworks so that you can create better content or better user interfaces for your web or digital channels. So first of all, be concise. So whenever you are writing something, try to write it in the least possible number of words. So a very good example over here would be, you can write simple login to comment, or you can also write you must log in before you can write a comment. So which one sounds more appealing for you? Which one do you think would your users be reading? So try to communicate within the least possible number of words. A very good example would be, just look at the way this copy is been written. Stream it surely universally. Send your signal. Or if you look at go ahead, level up, introducing attendee spotlight. So simple. You can maximize your engagement with this particular software. Without writing this, they are simply putting up the core messaging. Maximize the engagement. The next point to note over here is avoid long formats of content. Don't have a content that is lengthy enough without much of a skimmable portion. So digital publication is very different from print media. So in print media, people spend a lot of time on every block or every fold of the paper or every fold of the print. But in case of digital, the way the users are consuming your content, they are on a scroll mode, and they do not have the patience to wait on a particular area for more than 2-3 seconds. So if you want to communicate, or if you want to let them know um, about your brand, if you want them to at least get the basics, or get the core messaging of your communication, then try to have well designed content copies, or content layouts, or content plans, or content presentation. So a quick example of it would be to show you these three. So let me just open up these three websites and show you what exactly I mean by content design. So just try to notice the way this content has been written. So if you look at this particular content, so in the very first focus, in the very first glimpse, what is that content that comes into your eye? What is there are a lot of text, but what is it that comes to your eye, that your eye grabs for the first time? So in the very first glimpse, I'm very sure most of you have noticed this particular headline. And what is the purpose of this particular content? This is a blog post, and the core purpose of this post or this web page is to let the users know what this content is all about. They are not here to know about who has written it, or what category of content it is, or how much time it would take to read. That is a secondary level of information that the user would need. The first level of information that the user is seeking is, what am I going to read? What am I going to know from this particular content? Or what am I going to get from this particular web page? Then you get to the second level of communication, that is 19 minutes to read, marketing, written by, and also certain other call to action buttons. Now if you scroll down, you'll find that the social icons sticks in the sidebar. So if you look at the way these social icons are, the social icons sticks. Why exactly? The marketer here wants the user to share it over social media channels, or to save it in their personal system using the print option. So you have the social buttons sticking out here in the left side, and then you have a clear content flow. And after every paragraph, there is a quick snippet of information. So if someone is reading about how to write a blog post, they're getting content, but there might be users who are just looking to get certain bits and pieces of information, and then decide whether they should be spending 19 minutes to read this particular content or not. So whenever you are scrolling down, you're getting these snippets of content, which is allowing the user to stop by and know the summary of this overall article. If this summary makes them interested, they would go ahead and read the whole details. If you scroll down, they have divided this paragraph into different bullet points. Now bullet points always creates a mental framework in the user's mind that, hey, there are just 5 points, let me just read through these points. Had these bullet points been mentioned in the format of a paragraph like this, the user would have thought, if I'm starting from this particular line, I have to read till this particular line, and it's a long paragraph. And the same paragraph could be represented by simple bullet points. So they have divided the content into bullet points, short paragraphs, highlighted snippets of the information, the summary of the information, and then certain call to action buttons to convert the user from this content itself. And then the code content starts, where they have again divided the content into multiple bullet points, multiple paragraphs, and each and every paragraph is having its own call to action buttons. So if you look at this particular paragraph, understand your audience, and then you have 3 call to action buttons. Now all these are call to action buttons because all these are links, and the marketer wants the reader to click on this link and visit this particular web page, so that they can get more traffic to these pages, so that they can transfer the traffic from this page to that page. Again, similar kind of format, the content, and then the content is divided into subheadings and short paragraphs, and each and every paragraph is again embedded with embedded with backlinks or links to certain internal or external web pages. So this is how you can use the content layout to your benefit. So again, similar story, they have used a lot of bullet points, a lot of call to action buttons to describe this particular content. So this is how the content layout shall be designed so that the user is sticking to your web page for a longer time and getting, in the process, getting converted or at least generating the lead for you. And again, there is one more highlighted content, blog post examples. It could have been put in simple bullet points like this, but they have highlighted it so that the users stop by and read through it, and then they have described it. So the way this content is presented, they could have started from here, but first of all they have described a quick summary of what exactly you're going to read and then the details of it. So this is going to make the user spend more time with this particular web page, and more the time the user spends with this particular web page, the ranking of this web page goes higher. So the amount of time an user spends on a particular web page is a signal for Google to judge the quality of that web page and rank it higher. So if a lot of users are spending a huge amount of time, so if say every user is spending on an average 10 minutes on this particular web page, and there is one more web page where the users are spending just 5 minutes or 3 minutes, so it sends a clear signal to Google that the page where people are spending a lot of time is a very qualitative and important page, so I shall be ranking it up in the search results. Coming to the next example over here, so the similar kind of story, visual hierarchy is been used over here. So in the very first glance, you can know the headline and then the short description about what exactly it is all about. And then if you're interested, you can get to know more about this particular information that is been shared in this content. And interestingly, the content is designed in such a way that the headline, small paragraphs, and inside small paragraphs, they've used highlighters so that the users stop by and read the important lines. Again, bullet points, headlines, small paragraphs, bullet points, headlines, small paragraphs, call to action buttons, and highlighted content. So this is an example of highlighted content. Third example, sometimes some websites or some companies might be having a lot of content, and the user might get lost in search of the right content suited for them. So you can create design layouts or content layouts that kind of answers every type of user's query. So for example, in this case, an user might be looking for a checklist of a 30 days of recipe. So what they have done, they have clustered all the content. They've clustered all the content for this particular topic or for this particular category, broth. So how to cook a broth for your 30-day meal, 30 days of meal. So for this particular category, they have created a cluster content. So now this is also known as a hub page. Now the concept of hub page will cover in the content marketing session. So hub page are basically one page on your web page where you kind of accumulate all the important content that you want your users to read. So if someone is visiting this particular web page, they will definitely bookmark this particular page or this particular particular tab, and they would visit it again and again, because one cannot consume 30 content in one go. So in one visit, one cannot just go through all the 30 contents. So these are hub pages where the primary goal is whenever someone is looking for a core information about a particular product or service, all is accumulated or all is gathered or collected in a particular web page, so that it's easy for the user to navigate through and access all the information that they're looking for. So here are quick 3 examples of how to create content layout that helps the user engage with your brand at a higher and at a deeper level. Next, avoid double negatives. Now look at the way the content can be written. So I can write a content like a content saying, I do not want to unsubscribe. So these are called double negatives. So in this case, if you look at the core words, do not, it's a negative word, do not, and unsubscribe. Now both these words kind of contradict each other. I do not want to unsubscribe. This is a correct English sentence, but if you look at the way this sentence would be comprehended by the user, now user would take a little bit time to understand, I do not want to unsubscribe. What exactly does it mean? Shall I be subscribing or shall I be unsubscribing on clicking this particular button? So avoid using double negatives in your writing, in your web page content writing. Next, try to use easily understandable, easily calculatable, easily. I mean, the users shall be able to figure out the timings or the core message without much of a calculation or without much of a thinking. So if you're saying that event starts at 15th December 2019, now in that case the users might have to think about what is today's date and when is 15th December. And if you're saying that the event starts tomorrow or the event starts today, in this case it's easy for the user to understand your messaging and take the action. Next, use numericals instead of words. For example, if you have 2 missed calls. Now out of all these words, the word 2 is getting lost. So the users would be reading it as a simple, you have 2 missed calls. And if you look at the second line, you have 2 missed calls. So numericals are absorbed or are consumed by your brain faster than words. Next, write in active voice. So the same messaging can be written in different formats. So if you look at this particular example, the search button should be clicked when you are ready to search for an item, and click the search button to search for an article. The messaging is same, but the way this is written, it's easy for the user to read through and it should sound like a narration. So if you're looking at if you look at this particular sentence, the search button should be clicked when you are ready to search for an item. So it's a passive voice and it's kind of directing the user on what to do, or it's more of a directive. And if you look at the second sentence, click the search button to search for an article, it's more of a recommended action point. If you look at point number 7, avoid jargons. So just look at the examples over here. So if you're getting a message like system error code 2234, an authentication error has occurred, and if you look at the second message, system sign in error, you entered an incorrect password. So try to use simpler messaging or simpler web content so that it's easy for your users to get to know what exactly is happening in this process. Number 3, use present tense. So if you look at these 2 examples, video has been downloaded, video downloaded. So when you can communicate in a simpler fashion saying video downloaded, why shall you be using a very difficult kind of future tense where you have to use 4 different words to convey the same message? Great. So we are almost done with the UX writing parameters. So next, let us try to see how we can create designs for our website and for our social media content or for our email content. So before that, any doubts from the session so far? So we try to understand the different parameters that you should be focusing at before while writing content for your website or for your social media designs, and we tried to understand the different UX UI parameters for your digital interfaces, and also you tried to understand the different design principles. So visual hierarchy, consistency, contrast, all those things you try to understand. Now, as a marketer, you do not have to know by depth what is color theory or what is color saturation, but you have to have an idea about what is good and what is bad for good conversion. What color or what font would appeal my users to take action on my ad, or what kind of content writing or what kind of content structure would allow my users to stick to my website content and respond to it or engage further. So next, moving on to understand the images. Now, before we jump into designing creatives for our social media channels or emails or for website, images are an important part of it. So text, so your text, the font, the colors, and you represent it using images. Now, what kind of images are good for you, and what kind of images are not good? So here's a quick run through of different types of images or different parameters that you shall be focusing on before selecting the images for your website or for your social media campaigns. So images are important because it conveys much more than a text. Images are important because images can convey a message easily to an user compared to what a paragraph of text would have conveyed in a much longer amount of time consumption. So images are an easy way, a quick way, a seamless, hassle-free way to communicate a lot more about your brand compared to your text. So try to use images wherever possible. So images shall always be the first priority, videos shall always be the first priority, audio shall always be the first priority compared to your text. So try to figure out what kind of what all different formats of content that you can use, and based on your content capability, try to repurpose the same content into different formats and try to experiment out which format works for your audience set. Now in the industry, video is the type of format that works the best. Next comes your images, third is your podcast, and fourth is your text. So try to experiment out what kind of content format works best with your audience base. So for images, when it comes to images, there are certain parameters that you shall be careful about while selecting or deciding the images. Number one, select relevant images. So if your product is all about maybe a product which is having a project management software. So this is a project management software. So in this case, you are not putting up any image of a car or image of a building in the background. You're putting images of people walking. You're putting images of a dashboard. You're putting images of your other activities that goes into your product. So the product images or relevant images is what you shall be selecting. So for this, for example, even if it's for a real estate company, this particular image do not convey any message to your user. Each and every element, each and every content element that you put up in your social media sites or in your email or in your website is your opportunity to communicate something meaningful to your audience. Now in this case, this image do not communicate any message to your audience. So what's the point of having this particular image on your web page or on your social media ad? So try to select images that are relevant and they are communicating something to your users. Select the images in such a way that they're relatable by your users and they convey a message. For example, in this case, the image conveys that whenever you're working, you need to do a lot of planning, and this software can help you make your work process more efficient and effective. So select relevant contextual images and try to make sure that your image conveys the message and connects or resonates with your target audience. Number two, have a focal point. A lot of times you might be selecting images based on their aesthetic appeal. So don't go by the look of the image. Don't select images just because they look pretty or they look flashy on your web page. Always try to see where the focal point or where the focus of this particular image is pointing to. So it's a very comprehensible example over here. Do, don't, and do. So just look at these two images and you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. Try to use images that have a clear urge in it. So this particular image is clearly conveying me that it's the image of a butterfly, and this particular image is making the left side image is making the user think about what exactly is it. So this wing is from a butterfly or from some other insect. So don't let anything in the assumption space or in the imagination space of the user. Don't let the user imagine the context or the meaning of your image. Try to use images that have a clear focal point. Number three, don't ever use images that are having a contrasting color to your text. So for example, in this case, the text is getting lost because of the background image color. So whenever you are selecting the images, try to check the contrast of the text and the background image. So in this case, if you have to use this particular image and you have to use a white text, you could have put a darker layer of a darker layer over this image. You could have made this image darker by color saturation and then put the image over here, or you could have put a clear background for the text to make the text more visible. So there are multiple ways to do it in design. So we'll go into that in the live demonstration phase of this session. So basically, whenever you are selecting text, try to selecting image and text combination. Try to check the contrast of the image color and the text color. Number three, so most of the times we are using stock images. So stock images are basically there are repositories on web. So there are multiple websites from where you can download images for your ads. So for example, so there are certain web pages, websites from where you can download images for your day-to-day designs or day-to-day graphic needs. So for example, here you can see that if you want a Christmas image for your upcoming 25th December ad. So for 25th December ad, you can download stock images from here. So these are stock images. That means these images you can download these images for your design. So for example, if you're looking to design something for Christmas, you can simply download this image. So there are multiple websites. I have listed all the possible websites in the study material. So you can download design elements from these websites. Now, the problem with stock images is that all the companies or all your competing brands are having access to this particular stock images. Now, these are separate websites who are selling images for different graphic design or advertising design work. So whenever you are picking up stock footages, you have to be very careful about duplication. So this is a very recent example from October 2019. So Whirlpool and LG, both of them used the same creative, the same stock image. So both of them downloaded the same image from some stock image website, and by coincidence, both these ads came on the same day on print media. So this is from Times of India. Both these ads came on the same day, and the users easily recognized that, okay, so this is a stock image that both of them have downloaded. So whenever you are using stock photos, be careful that you do not get into such coincidence where your competitors are also using the similar kind of image or the same stock image for that matter. So this is something that you have to be careful about. Next, try to use real images. So if you look at this particular left side image that I've selected right now, this image do not convey much of a confidence on your brand to the user. So if I have this video on my website, my users would be pretending would be having a perception that he has just downloaded, the web developer has just downloaded some random image from random image from web and just put it on the web page. So this easily gets sends a message that this is not a genuine ad. Now, if you look at the other two images over the side, so you can see that this image has photos of real people working in this particular company. So real people working in this particular company. So whenever users see images of real people, they get a motion of confidence towards this particular brand. Similar kind of story. This is from Zomato. You'll find that real people who are currently working in the particular company are being featured in their website or in their ads. So try to use real people so that you have better brand credibility imposed on the user. Yeah, that's it. Next, we'll move on to the demonstration part. So is there any kind of doubt? So next we'll move on to understand the different tools that you can use to create our designs or creatives for website or social media. So in general term, it is called graphic design or illustrations or something like that. But in advertising terms or in marketing terms, it is known as ad copy or advertising design. So let us see how we can do this kind of designs. So before that, any queries from the session so far? Any kind of doubt or any kind of queries? Great. So I'm moving on to the design part. So how to create such ad designs and all. So you can get into different softwares. So there are certain softwares like Photoshop and all where you can design the ad creatives. Now, for a starter, for a beginner, a very good repository to start with your design is Canva.com. Now, this is a drag and drop online design tool. So you can visit this web page. It's a free tool. They also have a premium version, but the free version is good enough. You can use the free version and get your designs sorted from here. So let us see how we can use Canva.com. So in the very first part of today's session, we tried to understand how we can get the right font, right colors from colors. So right now, I'm presuming that you already have the right color and the right font for your brand in place. So you've already decided that I want to use this particular font and this particular color. Now visit canva.com and you have to visit this particular web page called sizes, canva.com/sizes. Now under size, you'll get a design guide. Now this design guide will give you the dimensions or details of each and every type of marketing collateral that you might be looking to design. So as a marketer, you would be looking to design flyers, brochures. You would be designing content for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or you'll be designing printable copies like A4 size papers or C series papers. So you might be looking to create different types of marketing collaterals. So for all those collaterals, you need a design guide. So this design guide is over here. So canva.com/sizes. Now under that, you can also sort it out as per your need. So in my case, maybe I'm looking for a social media design. So I can get every type of social media content that is out there. Now, whenever you are creating design for digital publications, you have to stick to certain dimensions. That's why it is always recommended that you go by the dimension that is recommended by that particular portal. For example, Instagram is having a size of Instagram is looking for size 600 by 600 pixels. So this is the dimension for Instagram post. Now for Facebook post, the dimension is different. So always go with the recommended dimension for each and every channel. So you have a particular content or a particular ad in place. Now that particular ad or that particular messaging shall be designed for each and every portal individually. So for each and every portal, there will be different types of sizes. So for example, Facebook ad is of this size, Instagram story is of this size, and again, and YouTube thumbnail is of this size. So you have to select the right size as per the channel. So in this case, maybe I'm looking to create an Instagram story. So I can simply search for Instagram and I'll be getting the options for those Instagram post and Instagram post portrait. So if I select Instagram post portrait, I'll get the exact dimension that Instagram supports. I can select the blank canvas and here I can start designing it, drag and drop. But in my case, if I'm looking to take up any of the templates from here, I can select the template. In similar fashion, if you're looking to create something for Facebook, just try to type in Facebook and you'll have the option for what is the purpose of this particular ad. Are you creating this particular design for Facebook ad, or is it for Facebook application ad? Is it for Facebook cover, Facebook post, or Facebook event cover? What exactly you are trying to create? So as you hover it, you can see the dimensions. So as of now, I want to create a Facebook ad. So I'll simply click on Facebook ad. I'll get a blank canvas and also I'll get certain templates. So in my case, maybe I want to use a particular template. So I'll simply click on this template. So if you click on this template, the editor dashboard would open up. And from the editor dashboard, you can simply drag and drop and change the text and image. So from here, if you see, if I hover and double click, I'm able to change the text. So your ad message goes over here. So you can simply change the text by double clicking it. And if you want to change the background image, you can simply resize the image or you can simply select it and delete. So once you delete it, you can you can add a new image. To add a new image, you can go to photos, and in photos, you can search for all the images that are there in the library. If you don't get the relevant image, you can simply search for the photo. In my case, I'll just add a random photo over here. As I clicked it, the image is there. I just have to resize the image and send it in the background. So here I can see that the image is, I've changed the image, and in this way you can just design. So it's a pretty simple drag and drop kind of platform where you don't need any kind of Photoshop or Illustrator level graphic designing skills. Simple drag and drop. You just need to have a creative mindset. You just need to have a very good imagination skills so that you can put the right text in the right place. So in this case, again, if you look at the placement of the text and image, it's kind of overlapping each other, and the text is not visible. So you need to have that kind of sensibility so that you can drag and drop and get the right mixture of all the elements, font, colors, backgrounds. So pretty much simple. So whenever you are trying to design anything for your website or for your social media sites, try to go with the right size. That is the first thing that you have to keep in mind. So try to select the right format, right size. To select the right size, you just need to search for that particular thing. So for example, in this case, Facebook ad I'm looking for. So just search for Facebook and you'll get the option for Facebook ad. So Facebook ad size is 1200 by 628 pixels. So try to select the right format, edit it, and once you have edited it, try to save it. So to download it, you can either go with either you can download it to download it you can either go with the PNG format. Now PNG is portable network graphics. So if you go with the PNG format, you cannot upload it in Instagram. Instagram supports only JPG formats. So it's better to download the JPG format. So JPG, and then you can download it. Now, if you're wondering what is the difference between these two, PNG, portable network graphics is usually meant for high quality web graphics, and JPG is a little smaller in size, but the resolution remains almost same. So there is no harm in downloading the JPEG file size. So this is how you can create a quick design in your Canva platform. Now, one quick tip over here, if in case you want to add a new image in the background. So for example, in this case, you are looking for a certain specific type of background image. So you can go to those stock images platform. So for example, so you can either download images from different stock image platforms, or you can also download it from Google. In case you're downloading it from Google, make sure you go to settings, and then you go to advanced search. Sorry. Why is it not functioning? So you can go to Google to search or to get the right image. But here's a word of caution over here. In Google, you'll find all types of images that are indexed in Google's database. But you have to download only images that are copyright free. So for that, you need to search for the image that you're looking for. So in my case, I'm looking for pizza images. I'll be searching for it. Go to Images tab and go to Tools, and under Tools you'll find an option to select the size and color and the usage. So for example, if you want to show up the ad in red color, you can sort all the images by red. So in my case, I want to show a red color pizza, and red my background is red, or my brand colors are red. So I can sort the colors as per my brand color. I can select the user rights. Now this is the most important part over here. You have to shortlist, or you have to shortlist and download images that are copyright free. So label for reuse is something that you should be going for. So label for reuse, so all these images are free for download and commercial usage. There's one more option, label for non-commercial usage. So if you're going for these particular images, you can download it, but you cannot use it on your ads. So label for reuse is the filter option that you shall be using. Now all these images are free for your commercial usage. So yeah, that's how you download images that you're looking for. So in this case, if you're looking to download this particular image, you can simply save image as. Now let me take you to back to the Canva portal. So this is how you can design any kind of creative for your social media campaigns. Now, in case you are looking to design something, uh, design something very complex. So for example, if you're looking to design something like this, where you are putting the image inside a television screen, or you are putting up a background, so you're putting up using a complex kind of design layout. So in those cases you have to use Photoshop, and you need to take you need to spend some real time on Photoshop. So the basic kind of designs that you want for your social media, you can get it from canva.com. So there are multiple other websites as well, like similar to Canva, but this is the market leader, and you get pretty much every kind of design layout or every kind of template that you want to use. And in case you're looking to know about the different size of the images that goes into different social media channels, you can get to know it from the design guide of Canva. So simple, Canva/sizes. So yeah, that's all from today's session. I hope the session was valuable and helpful for you. If you have any doubts, please feel free to put in your queries in the chat box. All right, so that's all for today. If you have any doubts, please feel free to comment below. I'm here till all your doubts are clear. Great.